all you Splinterheads. Welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. If you're not subscribed, at the end of the video, if you got any value out of this, please think about subscribing and hit that like button. You know how it goes. Anyway, with that said, this episode, I want to cover yesterday's town hall. It was later in the evening for me here in Eastern time zone of the States. So I didn't get to listen to the last part of it where people ask questions, but I did listen to the main part where the team, put out all the information they wanted to put out for the event. But before I get into that, I want to give a shout out to Vozena. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Someone who replied to my last video where I played Splinter Forge and left me a couple good tips, which has led me to some basically improving my play. So good shout out for that. Also at the end of this video, I'm also going to give some Archmage news because they released some news today as well because as you all probably know, I am Archmage user of their service. So anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into Town Hall. Now, I'm not going to go into this extensively. I will leave the link to the Town Hall video and this page with the condensed version of it in the show notes if you want to go and listen to it all. But as usual, it's pretty long, but not as long as last week. But I just want to make some mental notes and give my opinions on a few things because there were a few interesting things. A lot of it was, I guess, what I would like to say under the heading of marketing. Okay, a lot, just to condense it down, a lot of the town hall yesterday was the team reaching out, trying to give feel-good vibes, and trying to convince everybody that they were in a good situation and basically to spend more money with them. Because obviously if us, the players, if our thought of the game or our, what do I want to say? I'm reaching for a word here. Whether we think the game is in a strong status and moving forward good, that means a lot because that basically dictates how much we go ahead and keep spending on the game, which means a lot to them because a lot of what I heard, it really wraps around trying to get us to spend more money, okay, as basically investors in the game. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in. And I am just going to scroll down this page and give you a few notes because I do have a few notes written down that I took while I was listening. Now, one of the first notes that I put down is exactly their first line here. They said that, you know how you have to log in every day? That's going to be changed to a weekly login. So, I mean, it's a small change, but it's a good quality of life change. Obviously, you should not be playing this game on a public computer. In fact, any computer you play this type of game or any game connected to any blockchain tools, any browser tools you have, the interface with the blockchain, such as the Hive keychain or other things, they should all be on private computers, and you should do your utmost to secure the account and the computer that you have this on. I cannot stress this. I guess this is the IT guy in me. That's what I do for a living, right? I'm a system admin, plus I'm a general IT guy. But I cannot stress enough, everything has to be secured. Your keys have to be secured. Your browsers have to be secured. The accounts you play, the accounts on the computers you play, as secured as possible. And there's lots and lots of videos out there, and I'm not going to go into this because I'm not a security expert, but I do it for a daily on a daily basis, and it's just been drilled into me so much that. And we put so much money into this game and other things on different blockchains that you have security always has to be top of mind. So with that said, I'll get off my soapbox and I'll keep going. So, but with that said, on a secure browser, on a secure computer, a weekly log out and log back in is good quality of life. Now, the second thing that I noted, and I'm going to jump down through here because, like I said, I'm not going to take the time to read all this stuff for you. You can come over here and read it if you want. The next two big things I want to mention are the two new rule sets. Okay, they mentioned a rule set called Aimless. They don't have the name up here, but I wrote it down. Aimless. In that rule set, all monsters get scattershot, which should be interesting, and Fury. The rule set is actually named Fury. All monsters get Fury. So, two nice new, I guess these rule sets fall under the heading of what we were talking about last week, trying to move forward and keep throwing new things into the system as far as rule sets and such to, I don't know if you want to say defeat the bots, but make it harder for bots. And basically require more critical thinking, which the human brain is better at, right? So anyway, two new rule sets. And I will also mention, well, they mention it later on. So let's go ahead. They had some basic server maintenance and cleanup functions. And then the next big thing I wanted to mention was the gladiator tournaments. So these will be regular card tournaments, but you will be able to use one gladiator card per hand. So like they mentioned, it will be very important to choose that card wisely if you choose to enter these tournaments. So that's a new interesting thing. Now, I will also say that they really went into this a lot. A great portion of the meeting yesterday was around tournaments, and that's I'm not really into tournaments. I play a tournament from time and time again, but I don't really play tournaments. I guess it's a big thing with the big spenders and such, and I guess you can make decent money. I can't even comment on that because I've never even looked into how much money or what you can make in the tournaments. I haven't had a whole lot of interest in that, and I have had a lot of participation in that. I'll play one once in a while. Every month or two I'll play, just jump in for the fun of it, and usually I don't score that well. I'm not an awesome player, I just like to get in. I'm a hack, I guess. So yeah, like they mentioned here, the tournaments and guilds were the main focus, and that's what they talked about for probably 30 to 40 minutes. The release today, which went out, they did mention that if you want to be a creator of one of these tournaments, you have to get approved. So you have to be on that whitelist. And for those of you who don't know, that's kind of an IT networking term. A whitelist is an allowed list, meaning you have to, it kind of generates from networking in that if you have a whitelisted email or a whitelisted network address, then that's allowed through, or that is approved. So in this case, you have to get on a list, and if you're not on the list and you want to start creating tournaments for or host tournaments, then you have to contact Cryptomancer, possibly one of the other guys, and get approved for that. So, oh no, it says Weird Beard, or as he's called now, Weird Goatee, because he shaved his beard. But with that said, they did talk somewhat of the priority about the next card revamp, and they aim for February. I'm looking at my notes for a minute. They did talk about the play sets. Am I jumping forward? We talked about that last week. I'm trying to kind of keep this going. I don't want this to stretch on too long. They talked about last week and this week, they hit on it a little bit, how they're rearranging, making it basically easier for everyone to tell what cards are in Modern and which cards are not. And the new card, and they're basically going to go by the border around the card. So once that's done, you'll be easily, it's become almost secondhand for us people that have been playing for a while. But when I first jumped in and when they first came out with Modern, I was like, well, which is which, you know? So I could see it as a new player that it being kind of difficult to tell which is which. So that would help. So that goes to this item with the card frames will help you be able to tell the differences. They did mention a little bit about the guild alliances coming. Something was mentioned about like alliances between guilds, basically forming a mega guild, and this leading to new alliance buildings, obviously, so that you have to. Okay, so you went through all this trouble and all this DEC to build your guild buildings up. Now, if you ally with another guild, then you have to build up another set of buildings. And what is this? It's a big DEC sink. Let's save DEC. I'm not on. I've got some DEC, and I'm not dumping on it. But once again, another thing to try to save DEC. Anyway, whatever your opinion on that is, should be interesting. I don't know what the use case is for guild alliances, but we'll see. They seem to think it's going to be a great thing. So the marketing items, I'm looking at my notes. Shifting away from ad spends, buying crypto articles. Yeah. The winter promo is about over. I didn't write any notes from that section because I didn't take any big things away from that. I did note one interesting thing that was said, that over I'm looking at my numbers, 1.8 billion transactions on the blockchain. Okay, I'm sorry. It's kind of a dark room and I was reading my notes. Yeah, he said 1.8 billion transactions on the Hive blockchain due to this game so far. And they noted that no other crypto game can claim that. In other words, they're heavily using the Hive blockchain. So, I mean, that goes to show how much action the game's gotten. They go on with Weirdbeard. They were talking about Tuesday's event. This is the next item on my list, besides the draft mode tournaments. Like I said, this all falls still under the same heading of them talking about tournaments a lot. The league lock system, and he went into it, and basically you will be choosing a league you want to battle in. And basically the point to this is it's to incentivize people who can fight, say, in Champion, to go ahead and play in Champion, not play in Gold and continue to just, slap everybody around, right? Because obviously in Champion you're going to stand to reap better rewards and so forth. So this was kind of aimed at kind of leveling out the playing field a little bit. So yes, I mean, if you played in Champion, usually you could choose to play in Gold if you wanted to for some reason. But more than likely when this went into play, you would be highly limited the next season. And, they didn't put any details, obviously. They're just trying to combat people who are staying in lower levels just to slap people around when they could be in a higher level. So, and they talked about this again. This is what they've been talking about over and over and over again. They know it's very important to everyone that the bots are not allowed in the tournaments. Okay. And they didn't mention, they threw around a few ideas, but there's nothing in stone yet. They're still talking it over about how they're going to limit the tournaments to human players. Now, they did say one thing, that CAPTCHA was not going to be used, and I hope it's not, because I've seen games that involved CAPTCHA, and it just ended up being highly irritating. I don't want bots in tournaments. I think tournaments, well, let me step back. I do agree with what was said. They said if you want to host a tournament and you're putting up money and you're putting up the prizes, you should be able to dictate the rules, right? I'm fine with that. Hey, if I want to have a tournament and it be an all bot tournament, I should be able to do that, right? That's fine. But generally speaking, if it's a tournament, it should be player versus player, okay? Or human versus human, rather. That's the way I feel. So, and they did mention that the Ghost Card Tournament, the Gladiator Ghost Card Tournament, started next week. So, now Nate got on. He threw a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but he threw some eye candy at us, as far as, and it wasn't really pretty, but it was basically the ones I caught were a new screen that was basically a list view for land. Basically a different way to look at land rather than looking at just on the map with a bunch of dots. So that was interesting. I'm sure that'll be out there too, that you can see. And a lot of the rest of the meeting was around project planning and development type discussion. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really I am IT, but I work for a software company, so I'm heavily involved with a lot of people who program, develop, do QA, the whole process, right? So I'm surprised that they went in as much depth and they're as open in these meetings as possible. So while the whole meeting did kind of seem like I was being sold to, in other words, they were trying to, back up the fact that even with the changes that happened at the end of last year, they're still driving towards their goals. They're still meeting their objectives, and everybody was saying, yeah, we're going to meet our goalposts and stuff like that. And as well, starting to talk about not just what's on the roadmap, but new things. So there was a lot of different things thrown out there. That's one of these things, if you've never listened to one of these meetings, there's people throwing ideas out left and right. So they during Nate's section, I believe he also talked about the UX and the UI, basically revamping it, making it look better, more user-friendly, etc. That's the whole thing about UX and UI. He was more of the, while everybody else kind of filled in the rest, Nate's more of the creative guy. And obviously, he's on the creative team, right? But he started talking about where this game could go. And obviously, they've talked about this, but he started filling in and throwing out tons of ideas as far as basically what Splinterlands now is just a stock card game. And it's evolving. It's evolving with land. And land opens up a whole lot of other possibilities. And he started talking about that. World building, player housing, custom avatars, being able to build people up, story mode. And then he threw that Battles 2.0 in there at the end. So Battles 2.0 isn't on the roadmap, but it's in the back of their minds, and it's a strong possibility going forward. And that would involve completely revamping the battles, right? So, and they don't have this on the map, but I wrote this down. They also talked about the new Soulbound card abilities, Conscript and Martyr, and those should be interesting. The Conscript, I talked about this in my last video. The Conscript, they'll put out the information. I don't want to say something that's incorrect. They also announced that Splinterlands TV is now 24/7. They have enough presenters to run the channel 24/7. So if you like to watch some of that content, go for it. And it was also announced that there was going to, in conjunction with Splinterlands TV, they had 700 different cards that were going to be given away. I guess, as gifts for people who watch these streams and such. So, if you want to jump on one of those streams and start frequenting that channel, stand a chance at winning some cards. He didn't list what the cards were, but I'm assuming they wouldn't be exactly commons. They could be, but I don't think they'd make a big deal out of 700 commons. So with that said, just to add this on here at the end for people who use the Archmage bot, they did announce today also that, and we'll just hit this number list really quick, all the features that they previously had in beta and or for alpha and beta token holders are now opened up. Okay, so you can use the feature of harder opponents and then the ban starter card feature. You can turn that on whatever token you have. They also announced that the experimental hand finder is now live. It's no longer experimental. It's in everybody's. It's being used for everybody. They announced a little bit of a posting key change, and so you can check that out if you're interested. Basically, they improved the way Archmage handles the posting keys. So now they also did a change on the config page that will allow you to see your rewards delegations even if the bot is disabled. So check that out. They made a couple different changes to the config page today as well. Wording changes, improvement with the Hive interaction. So anyway, that's worth mentioning. So check out if you haven't checked it out lately. I'm on my config page every day because I change the amount of hands it plays on an hourly basis, and I try to stick around a certain ECR, right? So anyway, that was worth talking about. Now, lastly, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I wanted to mention that I did not put out a video on Friday from my usual card purchasing and my shopping, but it took all weekend, but my bids finally went through and I was able to, I finally have a 6th level summoner, and it is Thaddeus Brood. So anyway, not totally exciting, but it's good for me because I need to get my summoners to 6. They're all at level 5 pretty much. So with that said, let's go in and finish off. I like to finish things off with a few card pack openings. Now, I noted earlier I went to Splex and tried to see what I got today from my chests, and I did note it was down. I was having a problem with it. But over the last week, about the best thing I can say out of my chest is I've gotten 3 packs. So we can open packs, plus I have enough for, was able to buy a Gladius case. So let's go ahead and open that one first. See what we get here. With all the changes coming down with the Gladiator cards, these cards are going to be more and more important. And obviously they've talked about that. One common, or one rare rather. It all helps. It all helps. I'm building up slowly. A lot of these cards I have level 2 going on level 3. Let's go ahead and open up a Chaos pack. See what I got. I should have just opened 3 at a time. Oh well. Ah, nice. Oh, nice. Gold common. And an acid shooter, Degen Apprentice. Not too shabby at all. I'm opening 3 packs. I like to stay at 125. I'm just holding 125 packs. Nothing here, just standard common or standard rare. Not bad though. As I've said before, all these are really good playing cards. I'm getting a lot of usage out of the Blinding Reflector, Hill Giant, Radiated Scorcher. All good standard cards. Mostly lower mana battle cards. Man, my videos stretch on these days for some reason. Ooh, nice. Let's hit the commons first. Oh, a cold gold common. Another gold common. He's another guy I really like. I always throw him in my hands these days. And here we go. Come on, baby. A Conqueror Jasek. Nice. Well, Splinterheads, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate your time every time you stop by. Please like and subscribe. And I hope you and your family are doing well this new year. And I hope everybody's healthy where you are. I will see you on the flip side.